Today, Republicans in Congress spent the entire day going after that Justice Department official I've been talking about. That specific official who started with the Alfeo case and the drug gangs in the Bronx, who rose to become the head of organized crime and racketeering at the Justice Department, who became the Justice Department's expert on Russian organized crime, the guy who indicted the head of the Russian mafia, the guy who became the Justice Department's lead counsel for transnational organized crime and international affairs, the guy who had been part of the team that banned Paul Manafort's patron and business partner, Oleg Deripaska, from doing business or visiting the United States on the basis of his alleged ties to organized crime in Russia. That Justice Department official, that guy, is named Bruce Orr. And he is the object of conspiracy theories and condemnation on right-wing media on a 24-hour loop. And today, pro-Trump Republican members of Congress summoned Bruce Orr to testify behind closed doors before two separate Republican-led committees. And then, despite the closed-door nature of his testimony, those Republicans immediately went out to the cameras to talk to reporters about how Bruce Orr was a liar and to basically accuse him of being the rot at the heart of the Mueller investigation and the Russia scandal more broadly.
Oh, that's who Bruce Orr is. Look what I was going to do. Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. And welcome back to Fake TV. Where this channel isn't suppressed, but Donald Trump is. Oh, yes. The fucking orangutan has been whining about Google. Which to me, obviously, is him sending some sort of a message to his good friends at Google, who, let's face it, have only placated mainstream expectations by finally, after democracy ended, taking the opportunity to suppress the real anti-Trump voices, the real, treason, traitor, fucking, resistance type voices out there. And there's lots of them. Like me, with nobody watching. And tried to cover their own tracks and their involvement with Trump and Russia. By now, at the point where it presents itself as an opportunity to suppress people like me, made sure that search results reeled mainstream news sources. Now, the fact of the matter is, they're addressing a problem that never existed to begin with. Okay? The problem was never major news events and what type of channel shows up or what type of search result shows up for those major news events. The problem always was that Russian bots are in control of trending stories that aren't even fucking covered at all by major news websites and channels and papers and stuff like that. How's it going, Mr. Conway? How are you doing, sir? So we have a situation where Google and Facebook and Twitter have coerced the population of America, basically, have committed cyber terrorism, have committed acts of psychological warfare, that type of broad scale both suppression and harassment, active fucking harassment and enabling of harassment. And it cost us our democracy, but now since they're being investigated, they're playing like they're on the same team to take advantage of public decrees of, yes, now we're, silencing these people who don't belong here. But what they're actually doing is silencing people like me. Not that there's a lot of people specifically like me, but resistors, just independent fucking voices, just normal people who just want to speak sense. But anyways, we're doing okay. The fucking struggle continues. Got laryngitis going around, apparently. Oh boy. Oh, my little table is dirty. Okay. Sorry, that was bugging me. Now it's better. Just trying to tidy up some shit around here. So, yeah. I do wonder what the hell is going on. The key to resisting laryngitis and things like that is to never, ever, ever sniffle. Blow your nose as much as you fucking can. And when it comes to, like, times between blowing, like, seriously, don't fucking snot rocket if you have to, man. Like, just do not inhale that shit back up into your system. Ever since I just kind of committed to that course of action, I really haven't had a lot of problems. You know what I want to know? How, other than Google's failure to make the rest of a channel visible, and I've seen this over and over again, just like other channels, whenever I do finally find like a video and like, I want to know more about this person, I look down and I don't see their channel. I have two choices: subscribe and then try to scroll to it to see it, or just forget about it. Like, in this view down here, you know, in the little bottom scrolly thing, see, it says MSNBC right there, and I can go and I can scroll through MSNBC's shit. And there's the recommended videos. And sometimes it's, you know, for a while after the election, it had no suggestions. Now it has recommended and suggestions, and they just kind of decide what the fuck to put up there. It doesn't actually have any relevance to the subject of the thing that you're looking at. Hardly ever. Unless you're looking at weird conspiracy shit and Trump shit. And, oh, of course, something like dumb Republicans, I can see why that would get approval for mass viewing, because that just divides people. You know, it's I enjoy it, but at this point it's useless. 1.6 million views now? Really? Yeah. It should have had 12 million views before the election and about 17 million views by now. Just saying. Yep. Anyways. So yeah, one channel after another. You just don't see the other videos that they show. And I can just tell, based upon the videos that I have that get regular views versus, you know, just the general view count on my other videos. That's what's happening. At the very least, you know, the rare times people actually see any of my videos, there's, like the occasional video that for no reason gets over 100. And then there's like the occasional video that gets shared and actually does kind of well. Let's see, 695 views, and I've made 27 cents off of it, huh? Okay. And that was a pretty bold tagging, pretty serious video. 10 days, the only cure for Brucanella and Eck in a reef tank. That video should do well for a long time. But there's no gradual increase on other videos that should show up around that video. Let's see, 3,797 views on the Cheaper Trash Detroit Axle video, 8 likes, 4 dislikes. How is that even fucking possible? 4,000 views, 8 likes, 4 dislikes. There we have 34 views, 6 likes, 1 dislike. 85 views, 6 likes, 5 dislikes. But with 4,000 views, interesting. $115 views, 8 likes, 1 dislike. 13 views, 2 likes, 1 dislike. 16 views, 6 likes, 1 dislike. Yep, and I went and I made a bunch of stuff unlisted. Thinking that, it might just please my masters. And let them allow me to have, a tenth of the level of success that, let's face it, talentless morons with absolutely nothing to offer seem to have no problem acquiring. Meanwhile, oh look, I remember this. Something big was about to happen. Video, and then something big happened. Shocking how that might work, you know? So, here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna make a couple of the more interesting lectures I've given on the old channel, or on the big channel. We're gonna make a few of those lectures public again. And we'll just see what exactly that does to my my monthly revenue amount. Well, there's a video with 124 views, 29 likes, 0 dislikes. Swim out past the breakers and watch the Lost-Begotten channel. I remember that video. And for some reason, the icon has been overridden. That's the word I've made up for when that happens to those icons. Overridden. It's when the reds overwrite something. And it turns out red. You know, it's like metaphorical and literal at the same time. Edit thumbnail. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Invading America will be way too easy. Yeah. I could invade America. I could invade America with Turkey. Not like the poultry, like the country. Although, that would present an interesting challenge. Kidding. My inner wharf was coming out. Perhaps today is a good day to fry. See what I did there? That was a pun. Okay. Oh, the Audi onboard thing where I was driving on the 24-hour Le Mans while singing "Throw the Trump Down the Well." That's unlisted. I'm making that public again. See, I was trying to be nice. trying to be congenial. I was trying to say, here, look, I'll give an inch. Show me that this other content is appreciated. Show me that you just don't want to monetize political content. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I'll let you play that game. In my country there is problem, and that problem is the throne. Throw the Trump down the well, so Melania can be free. She would make a better president, almost as good as Hillary. Canadian steel tariff. I don't even remember unlisting that one. Yeah, this is making me want to play Gran Turismo. Okay. I'm gonna... Oh. My little video that indicated that NATO knows about Trump's connection to 9/11. So that the actual best course of action for anyone involved in any way, from Google to Facebook to Twitter to fucking any little maintenance company that services a Trump tower, or anybody who ever wants to travel internationally ever again from Russia, they should really, yeah, like that person who just stopped watching, probably. Person. They should really consider entering affidavits. They should really consider asking for witness protection. Because that NATO video on the NATO channel, it's a NATO video made by NATO. It clearly indicates that they know Russia was involved in 9/11. And if they knew that long ago, and it was not a recent video, then they've been on top of this shit for some time. Especially when you consider all the other evidence I've presented. You'd think they'd get a clue, huh, Conway? Treason versus tax cuts. Yeah, let's make that public again. Throw the Trump down the well. The internet is a weapon. The anti-Paul Revere. Yep, we're going to make that public again. World War III-ish. Gonna make those public. This is all on the Easy Reefers channel. Elon Musk is a fucking moron, lying sociopath who basically gets his best ideas from people like me. Who believes these suicides are all suicides? Cadet Stormy Spurs to be charged with racketeering. That was in February. Hey FBI, a fucking parade? Social media fraud. Yeah, let's make that one public. I was being so nice, just self-censoring. ¿Qué pasó, señor Rodriguez? Yep, all these things have orange monetization. All these things are limited or no ads. But fuck it. I'm getting limited or no revenue after all. Alright, I just got a few more to go. But that's fascinating how that one video had 30-something likes, or whatever. No dislikes. And, only 135 views. Anyways, oh look, more proof that YouTube is rigged for Trump and Russia. Gotta make sure I make those public. Don't expect to fix the future while believing the lies of the past. Ann Coulter makes the case that it's Congress's duty to impeach. She wasn't actually talking about Trump, but it sounds like she was. It's funny how people can apply different standards. So, a look at how all the different live stream softwares are basically not American, just in general. It's very, very not American. Very, very Russian. You get your choice of Russian, Chinese, or more Russian. And let's go ahead and put all the things where I was complaining about how YouTube illegitimately disabled my live stream capabilities because I was trying to defend my country. You see, they were trying to attack my country and I was trying to defend it. That's why Google doesn't like me, period. Google helps Russia hack Americans. How to spot a fake news show. Let's go ahead and make that public again. Yep. You know, I really liked the idea of easy reefers. I really thought, let me just see the revenue go up on this. Just back to like something that I know it's actually gonna go up from there and be worthwhile. And it just stayed at fucking $8, $9, $8, $9, $9, $8, $7.80, $10.13, $7, $8, $9, $8 per month. Now, I don't consider myself to be a violent person. I've never initiated a fight, as it were. Okay. But if I found the motherfucker who was responsible for me putting in the amount of work that I put in and limiting my revenue to fucking $8 a month, I don't care how much tread is on my boot. It's going all the way up his ass. Cleats, clovers, I don't care what kind of fucking... I don't care how hard it is to get in there. Squeal like a pig, boy. Anyways, I think that was my first joke for the night. Oh, good. So what do you wind up doing? I have drooled on myself. Doing some headlines until I die of shock. That sounds like I was in a funny mood. Annoying things in English class saved your way of life. Talking about how proper grammar protects national security because it prevents people from influencing us, without like extensive training at least. That got demonetized. It's like Gargamel put Azrael in charge of Smurftown. Trump is not the president. He's a traitor. Blasphemy. All right. I'm gonna make sure I put all the proof Google fucker. All the Google proof. I can't believe how many fucking videos I have made private. Like 1,000 videos, seriously. I never made that shit. Wow. Well, now it's public again. Ads on Russian channels still being ran after Google went and lied to Congress. And Kennedy, who did it? Oh, the Russian Trey Gowdy channel. Gotta make that public. Let's just see here. More signs and wonders for infants to ignore. When hippies and skinheads agree, it's Russian propaganda. Oh, look, the Yuri Bezmenov thing. Make that public again. Parable of the Waterman. I keep wanting to stop, and then I keep seeing these really good videos. YouTube prioritizes streaming for Russians, blocks Americans. Not available in your country. America, that's my country, where I live, fucking America. Alright. I guess that's good enough for now. So how many videos is that? Maybe like 50? Now back public again. Wonder if they'll show up. Wonder if they'll get any views. Who knows? So what you doing for your holiday, Carlos? I mean, I can think of the general advice I would give for what people should do on vacations. But I'd love to hear specifics. Where'd you go? What you doing? I think if I could go anywhere just to do like a productive vacation, It would just be to go collect samples. I'm like Sigourney Weaver on fucking Avatar. Samples. What I really want is at least 3 good batches of sargassum. You know, just three good clumps of it. And I want to see what type of salinity and temperature it does best in. You know. Basically, I want to see how warmer brackish water affects it, as opposed to a Fowler system, as opposed to a regular reef system. I think those would be my 3 tests. Anyways, so this little Newsweek thing. Bruce Orr had a poor memory about the dossier. In closed hearing, House GOP rep says. A top Justice Department official accused of bias against President Donald Trump at the FBI and Department of Justice displayed a, quote, poor memory while answering from House investigators Tuesday in a closed-door hearing, according to one Republican congressman who took part. If it's that person's opinion, you should say it like it's that person's opinion. Especially considering the fucking issue at hand. They're saying it like it's fact, and, oh yeah, by the way, this person said it. Bruce Orr, who was grilled by members of the House Judiciary and Oversight Committees, was asked about his contacts with former Bush intelligence officer Christopher Steele. Representative Darrell Issa of California told Fox News Orr didn't shit. Or served. Different thing. As a, quote, link to, quote, animus within the Justice Department and the FBI against Trump's candidacy. Steele drafted the Trump-Russia dossier that claimed Russia had intended to help. When are you fucking people gonna realize the Steele dossier has nothing to do with anything? Nothing. What did I say when the fucking Steele dossier first came out? That it was basically a bullshit investigation that was now being made public so that people would focus on it instead of the investigation that had been ongoing long before the Steele dossier was ever fucking started. And in fact, the only usefulness regarding the Steele dossier, the only, thing worth mentioning, is that it includes information from other actually legitimate investigations. Oh, look, it's a new person. Hello, new person. How are you? But yes, the investigation into the very right-wing conspiracy type groups and pundits and YouTube channels that Trump wound up basically, crowd surfing on, that had been initiated since the downing of MH17. I made fucking damn sure of that. Like, hold on, there's just this whole big fucking propaganda network of bullshit going on. And it's become a clear and present danger to the United States. There's psychological warfare, trying to paint Hillary Clinton and John McCain as the founders of ISIS. Meanwhile, Russia's basically deploying them. I'm doing pretty good. What brings you to the channel? We don't get new visitors very often around these parts. Joey! How's it going? See, like for instance with Joey, I had to use magic to bring Joey's ass here. So, in addition to this investigation that was ongoing from the time of basically the massed array of different websites and YouTube channels and Twitter bots and actual Twitter, like Canadians posing as Americans, etc., all running defense for Russia. They'd been talking about Illuminati and aliens and all this stuff for years, but for some reason they're all toting the fucking party line for Russia all of a sudden once Russia starts invading Ukraine. And I caught on to it, and I made damn sure the FBI caught on to it. And I have every indication that as things progressed and I continued to inform them on this, that they continued to learn. And in addition to the investigation, which I myself, was just adamant about that needed to be done. Okay, I made a case for it. Okay? And as you know, I don't fucking squeeze my head. But I clearly have seen indications that this investigation has proceeded in within recommended parameters. But in addition to that, they've been investigating Donald Trump for connections to the Russian mafia decades. And they've been investigating, in particular, a lot of people around him since about 2009. And the connections between everything has been getting very clear since around 2012, 2013. And now the dossier, the fucking little piss dossier, that didn't even exist until 2016, and nobody knew about it until fucking December of 2016. Like late December too. So anyways, I take issue with the whole focus on the dossier. Somebody starts talking to me about the dossier. I'm saying, like, you're only talking about the dossier because Russia wants you to be talking about the dossier. Shut the fuck up about the dossier. The dossier doesn't have anything to do with anything. So what, Donald Trump was peeing on a mattress or something, or had some hookers peeing? I don't care. I don't care. You know? I don't care if Monica Lewinsky was right in the middle, just sitting there chugging the hooker piss down and just bouncing up and down. I don't care. I don't care if Bill Clinton was playing the sax in the background. I don't care. What I care about is motherfuckers organizing the destruction of this country. That's it. I think it's a tragedy that people were stupid enough to vote for someone so clearly decadent and amoral as Donald Trump. And to do so while pointing the finger at the Clintons? Really? The Clintons? I mean, when the worst thing you ever did was get a blowjob, you're doing okay in the world. You know? Well, Trump's got these hotels where, like, children are being smuggled to Europe and fucking Asia from. He says he doesn't know anything about it. But it's happening at this hotel that just happens to be his hotel, and this hotel that happens to be his hotel, and this hotel that happens to be his hotel. And they're going to these other hotels in these other countries which happen to be his hotels. But it's got nothing to do with him. Just like all this money laundering. You know, it can't have anything to do with him, especially when it comes to the underage models that get smuggled and basically kidnapped and sold and stuff like that. Because, Trump has clearly indicated that he has higher respect for underage models, as he demonstrated by walking into the Miss Teen America beauty pageant dressing room while fucking young girls were getting changed. Oh wait, no. According to any basic psychological profiling, that's the exact type of person who would do something like, interesting. I think Trump is a Satanist. That's because I'm an exorcist and I know these things, but, if anybody doubts whether Trump is a Satanist, all you really need to do is go back to his old fucking Howard Stern interviews and find me another word to describe someone like that. I'm willing to hear it. I'm willing to argue. I'm willing to keep an open mind. But to me, as an exorcist, there is one word for someone who maliciously plots to usurp Christianity while intending to take delight in its embarrassment. That's a Satanist. That's what Trump is. That's what Joel Osteen is to me. That's what all these Jerry Falwell. All of these Republicans who've now become Rushublicans. They preach extra-biblical opinions, and they are nothing but ravenous wolves in sheep's clothing. Now, their presence, people like this, their presence has resulted in only two things. Neither of those things have added glory to the kingdom of God. Neither of those two things have increased the rate at which Christians can convert people who do not believe in Christ. These two things are actually increase the number of lukewarm hypocrites in churches. In fact, you basically find nothing but lukewarm hypocrites in most churches nowadays, thanks to these types of people. And on the other hand, you have people of rational and compassionate thought have just come to give up on faith altogether. Because why would you want to have anything in common with these appalling, apathetic hypocrites? So faithlessness has become a rational choice thanks to their ploys. And for some coincidental reason, this country called Russia, whose former foundations were known to be Marxism and Leninism, and Marx and Leninism said that you had to destroy the religious foundations of a country to make it weak. And Russia has gone out of its way to promote and amplify the hypocritical voices in the religious right, as well as the anti-religious voices in the far left. It's the biggest single problem that we're facing right now. It's the biggest issue that there is in the world. It's the reason why we can't solve any of our other problems. Yet, because I talk about it, YouTube hates me. Isn't that it in a nutshell? That's because when it comes to preferred content, YouTube has the same agenda. They want religious hypocrites and far-left atheists. And they don't want anybody who can bridge the gap between them. So what's that tell you about YouTube? Yep. And it's almost like the same thing that's happening here. You know, we've gotten to that same point to a lesser degree. You know, a less successful campaign with the same objective of making this a country where basically you're persecuted for sticking up for our national defense. Persecuted for being a patriot, persecuted for wanting to unite the country, you know. What the fuck?
Look what she done. For much of yesterday, the flag above the White House was
Okay.
full staff rather than half staff in memory of the late war hero and Arizona Senator John McCain. But under pressure from many quarters, not the least of which was the letter from the American Legion, President Trump finally restored the flag to its place of respect in honor of McCain. Legionnaires are gathering now for their annual convention, so we asked 360's Gary Tuchman to attend as well and hear what they had to say.
There are nearly 2 million members of the American Legion. One of those members was Senator John McCain.
I think John McCain was one of the greatest heroes this country has ever seen.
Here in Minneapolis at the 100th Annual American Legion Convention, you hear that sentiment over and over again from these wartime veterans, who in many, if not most cases, voted for and support President Donald Trump. Glenn Whitaker is an Army veteran, seriously wounded at Fort Benning, Georgia in a grenade blast during the Vietnam War era. He strongly supports the president.
Do you think, though, that President Trump was disrespectful to John McCain, particularly in his dying days?
Yes.
Yeah. How did that make you feel as a veteran, as someone who's wounded for this country?
Because we are family.
Many of the veterans here are emotionally pained by how a president who they for the most part admire acted towards John McCain.
Who here believes that John McCain was a hero? Does anyone believe he wasn't a hero? No hands. So when you heard President Trump say he wasn't a hero because he doesn't believe that people who are captured are heroes, was that insulting? How did that make you feel?
It's ridiculous. I mean, they paid more than we did.
Jerry Tarquinio from Illinois served in the Army in Vietnam.
You supported Donald Trump for president. You believe John McCain's a hero. If you could talk to the president about the way he acted towards John McCain while he was alive, and the way he's now acting while he's passed away, what would you say to him?
I'd tell him that he was very disrespectful for that, and I don't agree with it.
American Legion members were so upset by the president's behavior following Senator McCain's death that the organization released a statement urging the president to make an appropriate presidential proclamation noting Senator McCain's death and legacy of service to our nation, and that our nation's flag be half-staff through his interment. Marine veteran Joe Plensler is the Legion's National Director of Media Relations.
I mean, I think we were really measured in our statement, and it was a request to the Commander-in-Chief saying, hey, this is long-standing tradition. You know, we'll direct your attention back to what's been done in the past, and we ask that you follow tradition.
Anna Brown knows tradition. The World War II Marine Corps Women's Reserve member has now been alive for 94 of these American Legion conventions. She voted for Donald Trump.
If you had a few seconds, what would you say?
Well, maybe I would say I don't like the way he treated him. But, you know, it's been what's been done's been done, and there's nothing I can do about it to change that.
Does that make you sad?
I mean, he should apologize, or, yeah, it makes me sad.
The Fox News brainwashing
There are
almost
about
came out.
12,000 veterans attending the convention, John, which means that when we were in the convention hall, we were surrounded by about 12,000 American heroes. So not surprisingly, everybody we talked to is troubled by the way Donald Trump handled this. But the intensity of the feeling really has to deal with the persuasions, the political persuasions of veterans we talked to. For example, people who really like Donald Trump tend to say, yes, John McCain is a hero. This is the way President Trump is. He says a lot of things, and that's his personality. But Others, including Democrats and people who would vote for Donald Trump, are very angry with the president. One man telling us that Donald Trump says he loves veterans, but I think the only veterans he loves are those who love him. Johnson.
All right, Gary, thanks so much.
That reminds me of something that was said in, was it the Roman Senate? Leggiare. So, I wonder how hard it's been for Trump to stay quiet. You know, McCain was laughing his ass off, watching everybody goad him into trying to say something. No words on John McCain, sir. No words, Mr. President. No words on John McCain. That's great. Oh, you know, before the broadcast, I had briefly gotten distracted. Let me put this on mute. I gotta show a little bit of this. This is too great. Speed Academy. Okay. Granted, just more Canadians. Just allowed to have a big fucking budget and just make all kinds of money, having all kinds of fun. But I like them because they're legit Honda guys. They know their shit. It's just funny to me how, like, you know, one would think that this would take some sort of a business plan and an investor and that kind of thing, right? Right? But it only gets done in Canada. Anyways, I really think the people in charge of YouTube in particular, but a lot of the people in charge of Google really, truly fucking despise America. But these guys, sure as hell ain't their fault. These are just good fucking Canadian car guys. And man, Canadians love their Hondas. There are some serious fucking Honda car guys out in Canada because there's some serious fucking Hondas available in Canada. They get slightly different models some years than we do here. And something easier to find out there, for instance, is that silver one right there. I think that's a CR. I don't know, it might just be a Wings West spoiler. I was about to call it a CR, and then I see the fucking hood on it. Oh, God. Fully vented down. Oh. Having a crisis. I really like that one. It's got the carbon hardtop. It's got a little subtle fucking Wings West looking, like a CR looking spoiler on it. And it's got I have no idea who makes that hood, but it looks similar to the Amuse hood, the Amuse carbon fiber. And I don't know if you realize why people put them vents in their hood, but it makes all the difference in the world. You see, you got two different things that you're fighting when you build a race car. You have your downforce and your top speed. Okay? Generally speaking, when you add downforce, you decrease your top speed. The exception is with those vents right there. Because what that does is basically take wind that's going through your radiator and going into the hood of your car, normally be acting like a parachute. And it's taking that and shoving it out over the hood and over the windshield and putting the weight of that air on top of the car, pressing it downward. So it creates a little bit of drag in the slipstream, but overall, it's only going to reduce your top speed in a car like that by maybe 1.5 miles an hour. Whereas a front lip spoiler is going to bring it down like 3 miles an hour. Your big ass wing spoiler in the back is going to bring it down another fucking 4 or 5 miles an hour. But it looks like he doesn't have a very pronounced lip on that car, and he's got the downforce hood, and then he's got the nice subtle spoiler in the back, which makes sense considering that the engine is just clean, all motor, intake header, exhaust, that kind of thing. No power adders, nothing that's going to be able to fight excessive downforce. So you go adding the downforce on your car, and you reduce weight on the car, and that'll help you in braking and mid-cornering, but because you added the downforce, the weight that you shed on the car isn't going to help you in acceleration except for like up to maybe 60. And an S2000 is not made for drag racing, it's made for fucking track day shit. You shouldn't be going under 60 miles an hour in an S2000 on the track. You should be taking like the fucking sharp turns at around 45 and a couple seconds under 60, and then anyways, I love S2000s. So what Speed Academy has here, you ought to go check out the video. 2 days old and they've only got 18,000 views. They need to retitle the video. You can't, final hoorah, what are you doing? You can't get rid of a car like that. They built themselves an S2000, and it's well done. And they've apparently decided to retire it, because like I said, investors and budget and production and shit, just for no fucking reason. I watched this little channel develop from its first fucking thing, just out of nowhere, successful YouTube channel in a box. Must be nice. And they've been spending lots of money on lots of toys, rotating them in and out. But I think they could have probably had twice the views on here if they would have just had a different title. Something reflecting what this video actually was, which is damn near a dozen track-tuned S2000s all just having fun together for the sake of making wonderful video. And you know, some of them are all motor, some of them are supercharged, so you get to be, you know, riding in their S2000 and see the fucking supercharged one go down the front straightaway with, you know, 350 plus horsepower. If you're an S2000 fan, which a lot of people are, this is certainly more a broad appeal video than you know, your channel project's final. Why? What are you gonna do now that you done fucking built a perfect S2000? How do you build that and, like, want to move on? And what is it that you think you can move on to from there that would give any logical fucking reason? What, you know? It's like if you had a Shelby Cobra. Okay? Your channel's about Ford. Okay? Oh, we're done building the Shelby Cobra. We're gonna sell it and get a Focus. No, you keep the Shelby Cobra. Then you get your fucking Focus. And it doesn't matter how long or how low budget the fucking Focus is or whatever, because you still got the Shelby Cobra. And, you know, people might want to see the next project, but I guarantee you they still want to see that perfect, classic, iconic, best car they ever made, you know? And by Shelby Cobra, I was referring to 1967 Shelby, you know, like a real Shelby Cobra, not one of the new things. No, I'm talking, you know, solid axle, you know, 1800s rear suspension. Way too much power. Just enough of a differential to give you hope. And yeah, fucking hope is all I need. Oh. But if you go and watch this video, man, they from the way he was describing how this S2000 handles, not this one, not that you can really see it all that well, but the little gray one they were just showing. Not that one, but the blue one that they built. Okay. It had 4-year-old tires on it, so it was sliding, but it had just the right correctability that you'd want in an S2000. And really, what more can you ask for than that little feel right there? Because, you know, like a car with too much power, or a car with too much rear weight, or a car with too much front weight, you know, a car that's unbalanced, can be scary when you start to lose it a little. But a car like an S2000, Mazda Miata, you know, a fucking a Jaguar XJR, perfectly balanced cars with nice long middle gears designed to get on the power in the rain and still not lose control. Then you go and add downforce to that. Okay? And you get to this little point between a couple of corners where you just slide just a little, and it's just, oh, it's perfect. It makes you wish that the worn out tires could do better lap times, because you'd never want to drive on new tires. Because it's so much funner to fucking just slide just that little controllable bit of a slide. Oh, wonderful. Anyways, I've only had the pleasure of driving, well, two, but only one with any briskness. Only one S2000 that I get to have any fun in, and that was all very low speed. Still had a fucking blast in it. But other than that, it's been all about the simulators. Like, in Gran Turismo, there's a lot of different Miatas to drive, a lot of different MX-5s, right? And they're alright. But I'm a Honda guy. And I like those extra revs and that extra fucking horsepower in the top end. I can't live without that. And I just want to know, Honda, why do you not still make this car? How can you just stop making an S2000? Like Hershey's talking about stop making chocolate. Honda's not making the S-Class. Let's see, you had a fucking, was it S300, a S500, a S600. NS360, that didn't count. And those were, man, let me tell you, I wish I would fit in one of those little cars. In the little old S600 or whatever. On the game, as I've shown on one of my more popular videos on the Now Easy Reefers channel, you can get one of those cars to just dive so far in a fucking corner, you can maintain momentum that will more than compensate for its complete lack of power. But then they came out with this S2000, man. And it was the spirit of that car in a form that could blow the MX-5 out of the water. Let's just face it. MX-5 might break in on an S2000, but when it comes to the power, fucking Miata's never had a prayer. And instead of making like maybe a cheaper version of it and a more expensive version of it, or updating it or whatever, they've canceled it and replaced it with nothing. And now they've got this some kind of little economy looking, I don't know what the fuck to even describe it, looking S-car. An S-cargo? I don't know. They're talking about making it in Japan only. I don't even know if they made it. I lost interest in that thing because it just looked appalling. And all they really need to do is take the lines of the new Accord Civic, because, you know, now that they look exactly the fucking... I can't even tell the fucking Accord and the Civic apart anymore. Like, unless it's a sedan. The coupes, like, I'm just like, is that an Accord coupe or a Civic coupe? I don't know. The lines, you know, the new lines that they have in common, right? Just stretch that out, stretch the taillights and the headlights over the fucking same proportions. And then you got your new S2000. Just the same fucking proportions as the old car. Don't need to change shit. The best thing you could do for that car is find a way to make ACE2 body structure integrate with the little front folding things, whatever they're called. The folding impact supports, right? See, the ACE2 body structure is like Japanese sword steel with regular spring steel around it, and then the frame of the car around that, so that you have that effect that you see on the crash test videos where the energy from the partial front overlap is transferred around the occupants. Because Hondas are unreasonably fast. I mean, that's a perfectly valid question. My kids asked me the same thing. And my response was dual wishbone suspension. You know? By the time Honda got away from dual wishbone suspension, they had already become so perfectly fucking balanced, weight distribution wise and chassis stiffness, that for the power, you know, it's like they just get it right. For the power, for the fuel mileage, you know, you can get a car that performs better than a Honda. You can get a car that gets better gas mileage than a Honda. And you can sometimes get a car that'll do both of those things. But the Honda can do both of those things every time, and they can do it every day, no matter how you drive. So like your Toyota, they don't like it when you drive fast, you know? And your Nissan, it wants to go fast, but again, it doesn't perform well when abused. They don't like to shift fucking frequently, okay? But I've been dogging the shit out of old Hondas for a long time. I'm talking highway downshift, you know, like with VTEC power, you know, driving 200 horsepower automatics. And the Toyota, you know, it'll save you gas if you granny it. The Nissan, it'll be nice and peppy if you're just moderate with it. If you drive either of these cars other than exactly how they're intended to drive, they fuck up. Hondas, you can drive it like a granny if you want to. You can drive it like an asshole if you want to. You just generally speaking, they adopt to your driving style because they have not like an ergonomic standard, but they do. They have a total sensory standard at Honda that designates how much viewing area, how much foot space, how much everything has to be just right in every single Honda car, or else they don't make the fucking Honda car. That's why the old NSX and the new NSX both have such like a car type cab. The old NSX I think is just far more elegant and wonderful, but both of them have this very car-like driver's view, and that's because of the way Honda sets everything up. It's one of the best ways to minimize accidents, to maximize safety, to maximize customer comfort, satisfaction, and one of the things I've noticed about other car manufacturers is that you typically don't know what to expect when you hit the gas pedal or the brake pedal. In just about every Honda I've been in, except for a Focus, the gas pedal and brake pedal have basically functioned identically. You got that just enough amount of slack to where you're not doing anything accidentally. Is basically how it goes. It's like we have this little bit of play for beginners, so you don't jerk your fucking parents forward when they teach you how to drive. And that's it. That's every Honda. I can't remember the Focus well enough to describe the difference. But it was definitely different. And I must have driven like 20 different Focuses. They're all, not Focus. The Fit. The Honda Focus. Yeah, the Honda the Fit. The Honda Fit. Oops. So they're fucking little micro minivan looking fucking hatchback thing. They all look alike. Yeah, I'm racist against hatchbacks. I know. Yeah, Toyotas are for people who don't look after their cars. Thought that was what BMWs were for. When BMW and Audi started doing free maintenance, because people would just drive one for 3 years, not do any of the maintenance, and then trade it in. And it was giving used Audis and BMWs and Mercedes, I think, too, a bad reputation through like the later 90s and early 2000s. Anyway. I think that's enough car talk. All I wanted to do was say how distracted I got by this fucking video because of all the damn pretty SD copies. Does it gotta fit? Does it gotta fit? Okay. Anyways. So, apparently Devin Nunes Shilligan? Let's call him Shilligan. Devin Nunes took a trip from Shilligan's Isle down to the British Isles and thought he was going to meet with some intelligence people over there in Britain. And he didn't get to meet with any of the people he wanted to meet with. Instead, he got to meet with this person who I think has an interesting last name is Alessandri. And I'm just thinking, you know, at least the name gives the likelihood to a possibility. You know? Not necessarily any evidence. But at least enough of a possibility to have a funny thought. So the British don't let any of their actual intelligence people meet with Devin Nunes. They set him up with a meeting with one of their Russian infiltrators. Like, wouldn't you just love to be a fly on the wall in that meeting? The two Russian fucking spies are just like, oh, so, yeah, I was supposed to come here and get some intel from these other guys, but they just sent me to you, huh? This is awkward. But, speaking of awkward, you know what I was saying about how they're basically just waiting and trying to use Manafort as bait to see what sort of other obstruction attempts and shit like that they were gonna pull before they drew the net in, right? One of Manafort's bankers' homes has been burglarized. And apparently all they took was an iPad and like one other thing. So this is in a very well patrolled, damn near zero crime part of Manhattan. Okay. And it happens to be Manafort's banker. They don't steal much, you know, they just, you know, just like an information gathering mission. Oh, this is going to turn into something big here. That's just another lead to follow. Anyways. So, Manafort and Cohen. Swimming like some good little fishies. Swimming right back to the nest. And, apparently, the Inspector General is also now after Trump for basically using his position to influence where the new FBI building would be so that it wouldn't cost him business at one of his Trump towers. Drain the swamp. Now, I don't see how this fucking person still has any support. I don't know how anybody. Well, I mean, I know how he has, like, quote, support, right? But I don't know how anybody can go on TV. These people that seem to be able to read and dress themselves and everything can go on TV and say the bullshit that it takes to say to confuse people into supporting this person. Because that's all that it is. There is nobody that legitimately supports this fucker unless they're just a goddamn criminal. But you've got these fucking paid liars on one hand hogging up all the attention, and then you've got these paid professionals on the back end making sure people like me never get many views. Especially me in particular, right? Me in particular, you gotta make sure I don't get any views. Because let's face it, the world might change for the better if people started watching my channels. People might be forced to confront the difference between ego and wisdom. People might be forced to recognize the difference between hypocrites and straw man arguments. People might actually start realizing that it's profitable to be responsible about the environment. You see, Republicans should want to be interested in that. Republicans have a right to know about that. But Russia doesn't want them to know about that because Russia is not interested in that. Because Russia just wants to fucking destroy the environment. It's not actually about the money with them. It's not actually about the money with them. They actually just want to destroy the environment. Because it's gonna make Russia nicer. Huh. Supposedly. Couldn't be that, demons are controlling them and convincing them of self-destructive things. No, couldn't be. How does Google compile search results? Really? A 1-minute video? Newsy? Really? 1-minute video. They're going to explain in 1 minute how Google compiles search results. Sure. Which means they're going to quote the statement that Google gave on how they compile search results. How are you feeling? One sec, please. Alright. Laryngitis, yay. Boy. I can feel I'm fighting this shit off right now. I was cold in the middle of the fucking day yesterday. I like it cold, okay? I'm usually like complaining that the AC can't keep up. And I'm sitting there noticing I'm surrounded by people in shorts and t-shirts, and I got a fucking blanket over me. I'm like, oh no, ain't this a bitch. As soon as I put the blanket over me, I'm like, oh no, I'm cold, I'm getting sick, fuck. Scotty Kilmer. Now, if you want a good car guy that's got old school wisdom and still does his research like a proper mechanic should, you know, like any really good old school mechanic has been staying up to date and can tell you the stories of how shit developed and changed over the years, all the way up to present day. He's that car guy on YouTube. So if you're interested in that kind of shit, Scotty Kilmer's good fucking channel. And I'm not just plugging him because he made me happy with the video he just made about the fatal flaws of Tesla cars. Green slime oozes into Florida midterm. That's interesting.
This election season, voters in South Florida are focused on slime balls. Thick green algae like this has been menacing waterfront communities for months. Warmer weather and runoff of man-made nutrients like fertilizer acts as steroids, boosting the natural bacteria into monsters like this.
They actually said it.
Scaring away home buyers and tourists alike. Constituents say it's time to drain the swamp fast.
I've never been into politics and all over it.
Charter boat captain Nick Fisher says his business is suffering. He took us into this gooey Cape Coral Canal to show us what's motivated him to vote for the first time in his life. Have you ever seen conditions this bad?
Oh my God.
This is horrible. I've never wanted to vote or anything my entire life. This
The water
year,
is just fucking green.
Specifically to
Look
vote
at
for a
that.
candidate that's going
That's
to
where
help
Grandpa
benefit
lives.
Florida.
While a deadly red tide bacteria is
that's where y'all
decimating
just
sea
were.
life off the Florida coast, this separate blue-green algae is impacting the state's freshwater systems inland. It's a rare one-two punch for those that rely on clean waterways to survive. When you get up close to this stuff, it's disgusting. It's smelly, and you can only imagine what the wildlife is going through that lives in it and near it. The bacteria accumulates in Lake Okeechobee. When water levels rise, billions of gallons are released. But natural flow south to the Everglades and sugar farms is mostly blocked. Instead, bacteria-laden water is redirected east and west. Many impacted residents lay blame on a political system that prioritizes profitable agriculture business in exchange for campaign funding. Clean the water out! Captain Chris Whitman is the co-founder of Captains for Clean Water.
Smell it?
A nonprofit working to restore the Everglades and preserve Florida's natural habitats.
Unfortunately, our water management system decades ago was manipulated. And ultimately, this does come back on our representatives. It's their responsibility to manage our water systems for the good of the people and for the good of the entire system. And right now, they're not doing that.
So do you feel like we're now at a breaking point?
I think we are.
That breaking point may be soon for business owners like Rob Smith.
Looks like grass.
He says sales at his bait and tackle shop are down some 70%.
Oh, I guess so.
Platforms and stuff are made to win elections. You don't know if they're actually going to follow through with anything. So, a lot more people are going to vote. They're trying to find out where the candidates are.
Cue the political slime slinging. In this race for the Senate, Republican Governor Rick Scott lobbed this ad at Democratic incumbent Senator Bill Nelson.
With Bill Nelson, we get more waiting, more talk, and more algae.
And Nelson slapped back, telling voters Rick Scott caused this problem. The message from voters: figure it out now.
Are you starting to see what I mean by, like, we need fucking protein skimmers? You can go back and forth between political systems over and over again. But until you find a way to turn all that biological material sitting there into something that will burn and produce energy, you're pretty much wasting time. And the big expensive solutions they're useful, but there needs to be that on top of diversified, independent, easy to build type mitigation tools. Anyways, so yeah, they didn't think it was going to last very long when it first started, did they? But let me just say this. While news people and trolls and people who don't know me very well, people who'd be more comfortable with themselves, they dismiss my intelligence. While those people might have doubted my analysis when it comes to this particular image, this particular prediction, I bet you they didn't see this fucking Florida red tide lasting as long as it did either. I bet you they thought that was just going to clear up in a couple weeks. And it's been getting worse and worse all summer long now. That's what's been happening. And meanwhile, a lot of the spots on this map are having their own little red tide blooms all around the world. So just think of how big that little area around Florida is. Think about how big all the ones are out there now around India, off the coast of Africa, even some off the coast of Australia, Papua New Guinea, and definitely off the coast of China. And none of those red tides were maybe a quarter as intense last year. Think about that. So next year could be 4 times worse than it is this year. And then a year after that, 4 times worse. And then 4 times worse. and so on. And you think about that type of area multiplying year by year, more and more. Not because we've suddenly started producing more food, well, that's got a lot to do with it, but because we've reached this tipping point of acidity and alkalinity in the ocean where we've basically killed it. We've killed the ocean. And this is what its corpse will look like. Because of this, yes, exactly, the exponential increase of what happens when the natural pollution-fighting organisms can no longer survive. And man, even if we have to find a fucking way to molecularly synthesize borate salts, we need to get this shit in check. Anyways. Huh. Mattis says that we're going to restart the joint U.S.-South Korea military drills. You know, I keep wanting to say it because I want it to happen, but I think Trump's on his way out, man. I mean, that's another good fucking sign right there that they're starting the handoff of power behind the scenes. Basically, okay, you're gonna resign, dude. So let's just go ahead and talk about what we're gonna change now while you prepare to resign. And one of those things would be, yeah, we're not going to meet with fucking North Korea anymore. We're going to resume our exercises with South Korea. And so on. And that's why Trump's sitting there still warning of violence. Oh, there's going to be violence if the Republicans lose the midterms. There's going to be violence if I'm impeached. Yep. Looks like racketeering to me. You know, I have said some pretty crazy things on this channel and on my other channel. I have implied that I would stick a fucking very large, uncomfortable boot up someone's ass for the actions that they've directly taken towards me that have affected, you know, my livelihood and my ability to raise a family. You know, I have expressed my willingness to defend myself personally, but I have at no point ever suggested any sort of open revolt or riotousness or any behavior of my sort, even on the part of my viewers. You know, I make no attempt to hide that I'm damaged goods, dearies, you know, like. And I make a satire of myself and an example of myself on how knowing things that I know affects people. Because I don't express a single emotion that I know isn't felt by large numbers of people. That's the standard by which I screen myself. You know? Oh, but everything's going to be okay because Instagram is announcing new security tools. Oh, I think I'm allergic to that level of bullshit. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. So, here's a question. If John McCain wanted to be General Martok in the afterlife, excuse me, hold on. Okay, breathing now. If John McCain wanted to be General Martok or if John McCain was General Martok, or playing the part of General Martok in the afterlife, would it make Cindy jealous if Aretha Franklin played the part of General Martok's wife? Because that's just such a happy thought. Especially if you've actually seen the episodes with Martok's wife. That is a magnificent bitch. Anyways, apparently I'm starting to have Star Trek withdrawals. Let's see. Mike Pence thinks God is calling him to be president. Yeah. That's guilty as charged. Yeah, that's true. Not in the way that he thinks. More in the, like, Manchurian Candidate kind of way. I want him to be my little Manchurian Candidate. Just shank him, dude. Just shank him. Pence, come on. Come on, Pence. Just start sharpening a toothbrush and just take care of business, man. Mother, hold this. I've got to wash this blood off my hands. Like, Pence could come out with, like, a red tie in one hand and a knife in the other and just be like, the deed is done, and there would be thunderous applause. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Anyways. on that bombshell, I think it is time to end. I'm going to keep a close eye on the changes in sources and stuff, and pretend like I still get accurate information there. Doesn't seem like I am anymore, but I'm just going to see if anything changes regarding the different videos I've just made public again, and I'll let y'all know how that goes, or how that went, etc. But the last bit of news I'll leave y'all with is the disparity between the 64 people that the Trump administration reported as having been killed by Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. The actual number is now found to be 2,975. So they were off by about 2,900. And I think that alone should be reason enough for an executive to resign. You can't just go dishonoring the dead victims that were American citizens. For what? To pretend like you're competent politically? And because, who cares? They're just fucking brown people. Like them fucking Trump supporters that assaulted the Puerto Ricans said. They're not real Americans, right? That's fucking sad, man. But that's another army of souls that beg for vengeance. And let me just say that it will be brought upon this nation if this nation does not use this to cause a revival. It can't just start at Trump. There has to be a comprehensive counterstrike that secures a future of reason and prosperity for this country. And with us, all other nations who wish to remain free or be made free. Anyways, so thanks for hanging out, Mr. Conway, Mr. Rodriguez. Hope y'all have a wonderful Wednesday. Don't forget to click the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Y'all take it easy. Don't take it all. Peace. Don't.
deep down in my soul. You, baby, you can't take it no more. No, I know I'm walking out that door the way you treated me too many times before. Don't you know you love me, baby, too? Oh, you know I want you there, I wanna be right there with you. I know I gotta keep you by my side till the day I die. 'Cause baby, ecstasy is in my hand. Oh, when I'm holding yours in mine and walking in the sand. Oh, baby, you know it's fine. Oh, now you done and piss me off. You ain't done something you shouldn't have done. Baby, I'm mad. I'm going on. Oh, I'm going on. I can't take it, baby. I can't take it no more.